Can you guys think of like a record, an album that made you go like, "Dang, they put this on a record?" And that could be referring to like just the instrumentation or just like the music itself. But most of the time, I feel like that relates to the lyrics. You know, like, "Dang, they said this on the record." I have a number of those in my brain. I think the ones that are coming like just off the top of my head are the Chronic by Dr. Dre and Still Searching by Census Fail. That's like it's not as popular obviously as the Chronic, but that's like a mid 2000s emo screamo, like actual screamo. Not I'm not just saying that. Metalcore type of band. And on that record by Census Fail, he's just like talking about like in detail, almost in graphic detail, of like all the stuff that he deals with just with his mental illness and his his issues in life and how that culminates not only within him but to the people around him. Obviously, there are other themes on the record too, but it's like, dang, how are you gonna say all this on the record? Like, this is intense. And then, with The Chronic by Dr. Dre, I feel like for that one, you really have to go back in time to like the 90s and understand that, like, this is when, like the parental advisory thing was like really becoming a thing, and so many albums had to be like put under this label of like explicit parental advisory. But it's like to be that vulgar in that time period, it's like, dang, how are you like saying all this on the record? It's kind of insane to think about. And what makes it even more insane is that, like, I mean, as far as I know, this was their real life. Like the Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, all the other, I mean, those are the two of that, like the main two rappers on that album. But um, that was their real life. That was their lived experience, as far as I know. And you can kind of like tell. You know that like they won't be censored. You feel that they won't be censored, and then they just let it all out. I feel like you don't get as much of that anymore. I mean, of course, there are people out there who are bleeding into their music, and I will appreciate that forever. But on a bigger stage, on a mainstream stage, I don't think it's ever been like this shallow. And I'm saying that this discussion has probably been around since like the 80s. Like, music is becoming shallow or whatever. And I will say, like, shallow music isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes you just want to have an enjoyable tune with a good melody that you can just kind of put on while you're driving in the car. There is a time for that. But when I think about these albums that kind of just like are like, dang, they said this? Really? Like, they actually said this? I have a really hard time of thinking stuff past like 2015. Maybe it's because I'm personally just desensitized, but like I only recently listened to The Chronic for the first time like a year ago. So I don't know what it is. I mean, like, sure, of course there are like artists like, I don't know, Kendrick Lamar, but it's like his music is good. He's saying like amazing stuff, but I never got that feeling of like, dang, he sang this on a record. Even on like his not his most recent, but like, what was it, Mr. Morale, the Big Stepper? Is that what it's called? I feel like I should know that, but I only like pay attention to like 90s rap nowadays. But even like listening to that album, I was like, well, yeah, this is amazing. I'm glad he's saying the things he's saying and addressing the things he's addressing, but it never felt like, dang, he's saying that on a record. And I feel like you can just kind of completely forget about anything rock music because it's I don't know, the lyrics just don't hit. Now, I know like rock music has never been revered for crazy lyrics necessarily. It's always been like a lot of focus on the instrument, which is great if you're into that kind of thing. But even when it comes to like the instruments, I feel like modern rock music, it's very derivative of what came before. It's never like, dang, how did he do that on the guitar? How did he do that on the drums? And that doesn't make bad music, of course. I feel like someone's gonna be like, yeah, I don't like it that you're talking smack about rock, but it's not a bad thing to enjoy that. Enjoy what you enjoy, right? But this goes out to the artists more than the listeners. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? The closest that I've gotten to like, dang, they put this on a record for like modern, more like very modern music, was Brat by Charlie XCX. But even then, it's like I felt like it wasn't quite like, dang, she put that on a record. Like, it wasn't quite that. It was close, but not quite. And I really liked that album. That was like one of my favorite albums last year, and I still jam out to it. But I can't help but feel like that album, and of course many other albums that come out like right now recently, uh, they're just kind of playing it safe. They're not really trying to, maybe they're trying to say something, but it's kind of like buried under some stuff, or they're not quite saying it like with their chest, I guess. And it's like, for me, why are you not, why are artists not doing that? I mean, since when do artists like chase trends instead of create them? I mean, that was pretty much the entire appeal of like Slayer in the 80s. It was just the most craziest thing that they put on a record, and then people were like, dang, they put this on a record. It's gonna sound crazy to talk about Slayer and then Britney Spears in the same breath, but like Blackout by Britney Spears, it's like, dang, she said all that on that record. She was talking about her life and her issues with like the media and like being a mom and like how that affects everything, and like it's like, dang, she put that on a record. Now I don't think she like wrote every song, of course, but like still, she's saying the words. I think that I mean, at least I believe it, and I think that's what it comes down to. Like when I hear like very modern, like I'm gonna say contemporary when I mean like anything past 2020. When I hear contemporary artists, I just I don't believe it. I don't believe a word that they're saying, and it's not because the performance is bad. Oftentimes the performance is really good, but it's it's just the little inflections in the word, I guess. I just don't, I can't get behind it in the same way. Like when you hear The Chronic, I keep referring to that album. When you hear The Chronic, I feel like you believe every word, whether you like to or not. Now I'm like complaining about artists and whatnot, but you have to understand that I am an artist. Um, I would like to think that I kind of say what's on my mind and do my thing like fully. But I mean, I don't know. Like, am I poisoned by whatever poison is going around that makes artists not want to like push themselves anymore? I don't know. I can't say that. But I feel like I try. I try to say stuff that it's like, dang, should he be saying that? Uh, you know, nothing offensive or like slurs. I'm not saying slurs out here, of course, but just like, trying to push up right up to that line, but not crossing it, type of thing. Like, I don't know if it's too soon to talk about my next record, but just like bear with me for a second. Just for a second, I promise. I have songs on there like about like censorship and like repression, and then there's also songs about like committing political violence in Minecraft, wink. But then there's also like songs about my sobriety and like what I went through to get to the point I am right now. And like sure there's love songs and like some of them are sweet, but like some of them are like yearning for a love or something. So that's why I say like I'd like to think that I'm really trying to say something that hasn't been said or isn't really like hiding anything. I want to put that out there. I'm not saying that to be like, hey, you should like follow me on Instagram and Spotify or like whatever thing you use, but I'm just kind of saying that to like be like I practice what I preach. I hope, I think. But hey, if you're an artist watching, let me challenge you this. So every time you have a thought of like whatever art medium you work on, whether it's visual arts, music, photography, whatever, right, writing, if at any moment you're thinking before you do something, should I put this in here? Like, should I be putting this in writing? Should I be putting this in music? The answer is yes. Put it in there. Like, put it in there. Because I feel like that's how you get those moments where it's like, dang, this person said this on the record. It's because, it's almost questionable to put it on the record. So put it in, dude. Put it in. It might not always land or connect, but I feel like as an artist, you will never regret it. And on the other side, as a listener, I think expect better things out of artists, It's very easy to just create music to create, This is like the billionth time of me talking about AI, but like anyone can like plug in a prompt and make music, right? But not many people can make meaningful music. So as an audience member, as a listener, applaud that, reward that. Hold artists to a higher standard. That's how we get good art, I feel. Alright, I'm out. Peace.